Our special focus this evening on the Iraq crisis. The question we are raising, is it time now for India to evacuate Indians in Iraq?
And joining us this evening to take your calls is Mr. Ranjit Gupta. He's a former diplomat and expert on Gulf. Mr. Gupta, what is your view? We heard from the External Affairs Ministry earlier today saying the situation is not similar to what happened in the Gulf War in '91, that the airports in Baghdad and Erbil are still operating, and if people want to come out, they can. The embassy is going to help them.
It is not, you see, the whole of Iraq, there are lots of areas where there is no problem, particularly the Shia populated southern part. Where there are war zones, it is not going to be easy to evacuate them. And in the process of attempting to evacuate them, there may be greater problems. So one has to be very careful about that.
Right. Sir, we are getting our first caller of the evening, Mr. Lawrence D'Souza calling us from Mumbai. Mr. D'Souza, what is your view? What should the government do at this point?
Yeah, Palki, I mean, was this problem of evacuation from Iraq a non-existent thing, or was it known even before the problem started in Iraq? My thing is, I mean, Sushma Swaraj goes to Punjab, and along with their ally, she says she is only responsible for 40,000, 40 people of of Punjab. What about the 30,000 people?
No, what are you trying to say? Should the government evacuate these people or not?
I'm trying to say, is she going to do the same thing that what the ex-foreign minister did in Kandahar?
All right, sir, we're trying to make sense of what you're trying to say, but thanks very much, Mr. D'Souza, for joining us. Also joining us from Chennai. So I'll come to you, Mr. Gupta, I'll come to you in a bit. NS Venkat is with us from Chennai. Mr. Venkat, what is your opinion? What should the government's plan of action be right now?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
As far as I am concerned, I feel the basic suggestion that they must be evacuated forcibly, it's not a wise suggestion. It is practically not feasible from the logistical point of view, given the Iraq's geography and India's position right now. My ultimate feeling is that the rebels will not harm Indians because they have nothing to really gain by harming the Indians. So the best option here for us to appeal to the rebels, appeal to the Iraq government, and we should keep in mind that not only Indians are stranded, there are also countrymen from other parts of the world who are also stranded in Iraq. We have to join the international forces. And today we are in such a situation, we have no option other than being patiently waiting and seeing what can be better and pray to God. But I am sure, something in me tells me that all of the Indians will be safe. Thank you.
Well, we all live in hope. Sir, Inderjeet Singh from Siliguri is also with us. Mr. Singh, what is your opinion? Should the government go ahead with an evacuation plan?
Yeah, ma'am, definitely. I am in for that. India must retaliate. So we should tell the whole world that we are not a weak nation. Every time there is some aggression on the country or there's some problem in the country, so we should retaliate in a manner so that it is lesson for the next
We're talking about an evacuation plan, not retaliation, but I take your point. India should act. Thanks very much, Mr. Singh. Mr. Gupta, how do you respond to these? One of the callers seems to be saying what you just told us, that evacuation is not feasible at this point.
The gentleman from Chennai made some very sensible comments. There is absolutely no sense in evacuating Indians from all parts of Iraq, and where there are the terrorist activities at its highest, it is not going to be easy to evacuate Indians from there. The Iraqi government, the Iraqi people are very friendly. They will try to do their very best in trying to help us and trying to keep the Indians safe. I am absolutely confident, having served and lived in these kind of areas and knowing my colleagues in the Ministry of External Affairs, that they are doing everything possible, humanly possible, There are just a few people in the Indian embassy which is very far away from tension zones. It is not possible to take drastic action to evacuate people. And I can assure you, having served in the Gulf, that not people, where there is no problem, people are not, they do not want to be evacuated. 2 days ago, the nurses said, we don't want to return, we just want to be relocated.
Right.
So the reality on the ground is not what is perceived outside, sitting far away in India.
Right. So you're saying there is no need to panic at all. If people want to leave, the government can help them. Let's bring in one more of our callers. Roma Chatterjee is on the phone line with us from
Yes,
Mumbai.
absolutely.
Go ahead, Ms. Chatterjee. What's your point?
Yes, good evening. I just want to draw, I know our Indians are, captured and the government is doing, but there is one simple request. We need to do it correctly, and the journalists and the media need to tread this issue very carefully. I am seeing on various channels questions being asked which should not be. Information told to the people which should not be.
Right.
You have to handle this situation. You think the people who have captured or not watched the Indian media? We did the same thing when Mumbai was attacked. The media was full blown on what steps were being taken. And we paid a price for that.
Right. I think I get what you're pointing at. Thanks very much for sharing your point of view here. We have Mr. Suren Sharif. He's calling in from Bangalore this evening. Good evening, sir. What's your point?
Hi, I really appreciate the Indian government's initiative to bring back those people from Iraq, but I think this should have been taken a little earlier so that, without any problem, all Indians might have reached India very safely, and if possible, they could again, arrange them to go back to Iraq and to join their duties. Thank you.
Right. Thanks very much for calling in, sir. Let's go back to
May I answer?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
May I answer?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Well, in the first place, I would like to say that what the lady from Mumbai has said is eminently sensible, because panicking is not going to help. Playing up all this as if it's on the media is not going to help. Suggesting that we should have evacuated people 15 days earlier or much earlier is not a realistic proposition. The Indians then at that point of time would not have wanted to be evacuated. In hindsight, it is very easy to say that we should have carried out nobody knew that this would happen. And so the people would not have been willing to be evacuated. We know when we serve in these areas, when we go and approach these people, when they make complaints and we say, should we take it up with the authorities? They say, no. If you take it up with the authorities, then they will take action against us. So we have to be calm, patient. The government, the international organizations, other countries, they are all involved. And I'm sure the embassy and the Indian government is doing whatever is possible. Panic and extremist reactions do not help at all.
Very well put, sir. Mr. Gupta, do stay with us. We are heading into a very short break, but we're inviting more callers. We will be taking your opinion here on CNN IBN.
Just take a quick break. Be right back. Our focus on the crisis in Iraq, with 40 Indians having been abducted in the country.
And joining us this evening, Mr. Rajat Gupta, former diplomat and a Gulf expert, and a lot of you have been calling in with your suggestions and comments. Rohit Sharma is joining us from Italy. In fact, we will be joined by him in just a few minutes from now, I'm being told. But Mr. Gupta, you're talking about this not making logistical sense at this point, evacuating Indians. But there's also a diplomatic position that India seems to be taking. The Ministry of External Affairs earlier said that they will not even evacuate or downgrade their mission staff in Baghdad because, quote unquote, they're not fair weather friends of Iraq.
I think what the ministry is suggesting in not evacuating our people from Baghdad is absolutely the right thing to do. We would be sending a very wrong signal if we do that. There are more than 1 million people who live in Baghdad. Yes, there are car bombs and all kinds of things happening. Imagine the psychological effect of evacuating the embassy on other Indians who are outside Baghdad, who are in war zones. So the ministry is absolutely right in turning down that suggestion.
Right. Sir, do stay with us. We are joined by Mr. Rohit Sharma. He's calling us from Italy. Mr. Sharma, as an Indian living abroad, what is your take? Rohit Sharma, can you hear us?
Yeah.
As an Indian living abroad, what is your take, sir?
I want to speak for yeah. I want my one question, no, very simple question for
All right, it looks like we're just trying to still cross across to Rohit Sharma in Italy and just trying to figure out what he thinks about the situation in Iraq.
Right, but we continue to be joined by Mr. Ranjit Gupta here, who's a former diplomat. Mr. Gupta, you have worked in the Gulf, you understand the situation there, and you were telling us that these are just a few areas, a few pockets in the country which are particularly restive and difficult, and the government also saying that people should stay indoors, that roads are under the control of the militia, but there are many other parts in Iraq where lots of thousands of Indians are working and they are safe at this point.
That's right. So, wholesale evacuation is neither necessary nor desirable, but any Indian anywhere in Iraq, if he or she wishes to be evacuated and can get in touch with the embassy and convey this to the embassy and is in a location from where evacuation is possible, that should certainly be done. But a general the ministry has made it clear, or probably should make it clear, that any Indian who wishes to be evacuated, we will do that. But we should not take the initiative in announcing a general evacuation.
Right. In fact, the ministry also coming out and saying that documentation is not going to be a problem. If people do not have relevant papers or their passport, they can still get in touch with authorities and all help possible will be given. Another caller joining us right now, Prakash, is with us from Hyderabad. Prakash, what is your opinion on this matter?
Palki, my opinion here is very simple. You know, the citizens of a country of about 10,000 plus in number are in a danger zone. You know, there are people who are shot on the highway, and in such a situation, waiting and watching and assessing the situation may be a good thing to do at an academic level, but to safeguard the citizens, I think, if not as an SOS, but we should give a message to our citizens to start coming back and help. You know, the external affairs ministry should look at evacuating people one after the other. You know. If the situation gets worsened, then it will become a very tough situation tomorrow, and we cannot do really anything then.
Right, Mr. Ranjit Gupta, one final word, sir, very quickly. We're running out of time completely, but the message that seems to be going out right now is that the government is not being proactive in a situation like this. Would you want to put the record straight?
I'm afraid I cannot agree that the government has not been proactive. There is very little that the government could proactively do in anticipation of this. It is very easy for people to say things in hindsight, sitting in the safety of their drawing rooms and in TV studios. But these are things which cannot be anticipated. Once something has happened, whatever action, and we are, mind you, the Indians are not the only ones who are affected.
Right.
Many nationals of many countries are affected. We are doing whatever is possible, and panicking and extremist suggestions do not help.
All right. They can, in fact, be counterproductive at this point. Mr. Ranjit Gupta, appreciate your time, sir, and for responding
Absolutely.
to all those comments. Sir, thank you very much for joining us.
In fact, you too can comment on our website, ibnlive.com. The news continues right here on CNN IBN.